So you're all doing well? Welcome to managing an organisation inside Minecraft. So we don't really have like a full-on script. We have like topics that you'll see on the PowerPoint going forward. But we're kind of, with this panel, the idea is to just talk from our hearts. And by that I mean as in like, see the question, see the topic, answer how we want to, and then at the end we'll make sure we keep space for Q&As. So if anyone's left, I hope I can do Q&As. I'm assuming I can. So, introductions. Firstly, myself. My name is Orbitzz. For anyone who doesn't know, I run the podcast InsideMC. Every single person on this stage has been on the podcast. So if you've seen them talk to someone, hopefully it's myself. That's pretty much it for me, as basic as I can get it. My way of showing about the managing organisation stuff is by interviewing. If anyone has any questions for me specifically, I'll probably leave my 2 cents like throughout, but it's mainly going to be these four lovely people. Wraith.
Yeah, so my name's Wraith. I'm the director of Wraithzeon, which is a Minecraft studio that does a few different things. So we make our own original variety events. We have long-term partnerships with other events, currently the Quiz Live and our new edition Clicks Games. We do some short-term partnerships like Jingle Crafters and Crunchy Christmas, and we do community journalism. So we run Sphere News, and I'm the editor-in-chief for that. Over to you, AGX.
Hello, I'm AGX.
Yes! Good lad, good lad.
We're on a time limit.
He bought me a pint.
I'm going to take that off because I can't breathe. I am the run of Heart of a Hero, which is a charity organisation that raises money for the Teenage Cancer Trust as well as other cancer-related charities. And we work with a bunch of Minecraft events to raise money and hopefully make a difference in the world.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Apokuna. I'm one half of POW Creations alongside Orange Juice TV, and we do Minecraft storytelling on SMPs.
Hello everybody, I'm Wolfeei. I'm the organizer of Block Wars. Block Wars is a big variety Minecraft event, and we host many events, like 15 of them this year alone. We're on break now, thank God. And yeah, it's very fun.
I love Mogomo.
So, just to remind you guys of the order as well, because we only got a bit of prep time. For each question, we're just going to kind of do a wave. So I guess I'll answer the question as well. So start with me, go that way, and then we'll start Wolfeei and come back to me. So firstly, getting started with an organisation, geez. So, it can be like many different names and terms, like my one would be podcast, we have events, SMPs. You can kind of label anything an organisation nowadays, not in like a bad way, just you can kind of start something up, and if you're passionate about it and you want it to grow, you can call it something like that. In regards with like podcasts, I know I've talked to a few people today who have said like, you know, it'd be cool to start one, or it's cool to talk to people. I feel like this is like a really basic kind of like university answer, but just don't be scared. It's not really hard to ask people questions. I mean, as you guys know, I have like a little prep time before the podcast where I tell you what's going to happen. I have like 5 topics wrote down for you, and I still get like 2 hour long podcasts out of them, because like essentially you're kind of just asking people what they give you. Like I won't do it today because we haven't got the time, but like if Wraith answers a question, I'll just keep building. That's podcast answer at least.
Yeah, so getting started, personally I would say start small. I see so many organisations try to run before they can walk. And realistically, your first project will be full of mistakes, and the bigger you go, the harder you fall. So I'll use making a Minecraft event as an example, but the same principles basically apply for all organisations. So in my eyes, you're better off making something with your existing skill set and a few weeks of work than you are trying to jump in and make, say, like an 8-game mini-game tournament, like I see so many people try to do. Because in the event space, minigame tournaments are complicated, time-consuming, there's a lot of moving parts. So I would personally not recommend them unless you have a bit more event-running experience. Same goes for like 100-player events, multi-event collaborations, anything with that sort of scale. And when I say make something within your existing skill set, I also mean be prepared to do pretty much everything yourself. It is a hard truth, but nobody will be as invested in your vision as you are, except maybe co-owners or paid staff. So if you have a little knowledge in every area of production, it lets you step up if you're short-staffed or in an emergency. And that's another reason why making smaller events is really good, because it gives you opportunities to get experience in lots of areas. So events like hide and seek, bingo, PvP deathmatches, they're all super flexible with how far you want to take them. So you could make them in a couple of days with zero code, or you could spend a bit more time and learn some basic skills to take it up a notch, and then for your next event, you take it up a notch again. And again, that applies to any Minecraft organization. You can still do like big projects and stuff, but I would suggest getting some experience first. Basically, don't jump in the deep end if you don't have a life jacket and you don't know how to swim. If you're lucky, you'll float. There are certainly events that have been successful doing it, but you could also just be put off water for life.
For me, it's like having the right inspiration to start an event. So, for example, for me, my cousin got cancer, and I wanted to raise money for the Teenage Cancer Trust because they helped her so much. And I had enough links because I player manage events like Biome Battle, MC Mayhem and MC Mania and KST. And I was like, well, I have these links, I can create events from it, thanks to the wonderful people that run those events as well. And it was very much about all the people behind me helping me run it, because I think if you don't have that support network, it's a lot on yourself, as Rafe said, but you need the people behind you to push you, to help you just understand that you're doing the right thing and that you're making the right decisions, and starting it properly, as Rafe said, because you can make a lot of errors by just jumping in and doing crazy stuff and trying to make it the biggest thing ever quickly as possible. With any Twitch channel, you don't just start from 100, you have to actually build up, and that's the right way to do it. So it's the same thing with a Minecraft organization or any organization. You just got to push and do it the right way. Start from small, understand what you're doing, and then you can build on that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, getting started with an organization, probably finding a good foundation. I think you can get above over your head a lot, like you mentioned. Trying to do a minigame event. Same thing with SMP building. You can get really high up in your imagination way too fast. And for me, having like a good foundation, whether it's through storytelling, or like finding a stable mod pack, or whatever your SMP is going to have, like finding that stability is really important. And also, I guess starting it for the right motives, in a sense, is very important. I know Owen and I started because we didn't really see too much like it in the space, and we liked telling stories together. So we wanted to continue telling stories. So if you have that motive, then go for it.
Yeah, to me, it's just a matter of following your passion, really. If you truly want to host a tournament, if you in your heart feel that this is something you want to do it. It's really that simple. Even if it's a minigame tournament, it doesn't really matter what other people think. If you truly believe in it, you should try it. And sometimes you start simple, sometimes you can go in the deep end. It's worth the adventure, because it's something that you'll want to look back on maybe in the future and be proud of yourself for at least giving it a shot, whether it worked out or not.
Lovely answers, thank you. Right, you're up first, Wolfeei, this time. Building confidence and reaching out. So, obviously, I'll do a little thing and I'll say my own after. But obviously, you have the event, so you're reaching out for players and SMP and stuff. So, how do you build confidence and how do you reach out to? You've got people all over, from the gaming space, not just Minecraft. How do you do that?
That's a very tricky question, because it is definitely a building situation. If I'm being fully honest, off the start with Block Wars, I definitely wouldn't have reached out to some of the people I would talk to more casually now, because it is scary. Content creators, sometimes give off the energy that they are terrifying to talk to, even if they're just people. And it can be quite difficult to even go for that attempt to reach out to somebody. The way I look at it, people commonly say the worst thing somebody can say is no, in different contexts, of course. The worst thing that can happen in terms of inviting someone is they don't reply. And that's a very common thing. I deal with it even to this day, every single time I host an event, and it's difficult. But you just have to pull through, and realistically over time you will just get used to how things go, and you will gain and build confidence. For me personally, one thing that helped to gain confidence, whether it's in just speaking to people or just generally, was making a channel where I just talk, recording, no editing, whatever. I just talk, and over time things got better. And this will also apply to other things, where if you just try to message people, you get better at messaging people, you'll get more success. So it's just a matter really of time. Eventually you will succeed, or at least gain some experience and improve in terms of building confidence. So yeah, just give it some time.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our reaching out has just been, our reaching out and like finding people has just been through being in the space for so long. I think the more you're in the space and the more you collaborate with people and just talk to people and stuff, the more you find new people and everything. So a lot of our invites have just been from like joining random Discord calls and finding new friends to hang out with, and so on and so forth and stuff. So that's a lot of how reaching out has been, and I agree with Wolfeei when it comes to building confidence. I think a lot of the time it is the worst thing that they can say is just no or ignore or whatever. So that's all you can really do. You just kind of have to push forward and continue.
Well, I have a bit of a hack, which is to say that I am running a charity. Basically, I have to ask events if they'll be willing to do an event to raise money for charity. And that started with like Johnny, who isn't here, but like Jackass and We Choke on Milk, who are. They basically have small events that, well, not small events, that's rude, but they have events that they allowed me to run on to begin with, and then I just started building from there, and you get more comfortable in the space, basically. You realise that you can just reach out to anyone, ask them. More people know what you're doing and about your organisation, and it just, from there, you can do as much as you can. I think it's easy for me to say that because, I am running the charity, but I think just anyone's willing to do cool stuff, basically. So if you just message them, they're down. And as these two said, the worst thing they can say is no or just ignore it. There's never anything worse than that. So yeah, it's pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, so for building confidence, I found the best way to grow confidence is to sound confident. So for outreach, you don't need to talk yourself up or down, just tell people how it is. So sort of like this is a project I'm running, here are the details, would you like to get involved? You don't need to go, this is the best project ever, and you'll miss out if you're not part of it. Marketing speak like that is completely transparent, and a lot of the time, to me, that just screams inexperience if I receive messages like that. So just let the description do the talking, maybe send a website or a trailer link if you have one, stay away from wild claims. But conversely, you also don't need to talk yourself or your project down. So some really good advice I got at a previous TwitchCon. Don't ever introduce yourself as a small creator, you're a creator. Same applies to basically any project or any project your organisation is doing. So don't make it sound like there's not been any effort put in, or it's broken, or that you don't like the thing that you've made. It sounds obvious that that's terrible marketing, but I still see it in outreach messages. So yeah, the more messages you send, the more confident you'll grow.
I think this answer is kind of like, for a lot of you would have got this answer as well by walking around TwitchCon. I mean, just walking up to creators and like asking for a picture or asking for hello or just seeing your friends, right? Like, it's something that you don't normally do, but it's easy to do. Like it's a lot harder through the internet, or like through Discord or whatever, to get someone to accept your friend request or to message them and hope they respond. And I find that a lot with the podcast, so which kind of links into the next topic that we'll get into. But I started off kind of like smaller, like reaching out to friends, people I definitely added on Discord. And then in the end, you kind of build this like connection or this circle where even if people don't know what InsideMC is, or doesn't know what BlockWars is, or doesn't know, like, you've seen something about it. Like, I don't know how many people here follow the InsideMC account, but I have tweeted about this every single day this week. Just constantly hyping out, constantly talking about it. And in the end, like, I don't know how many people are going to show up. The fact that all of you are here is amazing, so thank you so much. But, like, that's the building confidence. Like, last year, when I went to watch your panel, I felt nervous sitting in the crowd. Just being there, but like now I'm up on the stage and I feel here and people ask me like, oh, are you nervous, blah, blah, blah. I haven't really felt it, because over time, by talking to people, by just reaching out to people, by being fine with receiving a no, just don't, like, if you go up to someone and you ask for a picture and they say no or sorry, don't let it linger on you, don't let it like stop you from asking the second person for a picture, because even if they say no, at least the third person's going to say yes. Like, you're going to get a yes at one point, but if you hold on to it and you don't go to ask for more, like, I'm just using pictures as examples we're here, but like, don't like hold on to the negatives, kind of keep looking for a positive. And kind of links into this as well, the how to stay motivated and not give up part is, so with like podcast specifically, it's very hard to kind of like, I go through a lot of highs and lows. AJ, you know a lot about this. I have like one moment where I get like a guest on, like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then like the next day I'm feeling sad because I have to edit like a 3-hour podcast. And it's rough and it's tough to keep going. And I don't really have too much to say about this section, if I'm being dead honest. But
if you didn't edit out every silence, then it'd be quite easy to edit the 3-hour.
That's not the point. But yeah, just like I guess like kind of linking back to the last part again, is just keep looking at the highs, keep looking at what's next. If you keep streaming, if you keep making content, if you start this project and like you start an event, you may just get your friends in at one point. You may not have all the testers you need, but if you keep going at it, then eventually, like, someone will learn about it. Someone, like, who has, if you want to, like, say, basically a lot of connections in the space will maybe play in your event, and then 20 other people will be like, oh, this is a good event. Or, like, they might be like, oh, this is an alright event, but it can be better if you do this. And it's just, like, constantly, like, not taking the negatives too harshly, kind of just learning from them. Like, take criticism, grow from it, and then just expand whatever you're doing, like, podcast, event, SMP.
Yes. Well, I mean, how to stay motivated and not give up. I mean, I'm a great person to ask for this, because honestly, at this point, I'm just a Wraithzeon addict. I couldn't quit if I wanted to. Believe me, I've tried. So yeah, if something's not working, you don't necessarily have to quit. You just need to change what's not working. So usually, for me, that's just reducing the scale of what I want to do. Dialing it back so that the end goal is more achievable, because my aspirations are through the roof. So, for example, maybe 3 years ago, I did a project called Wraithzeon Wonderland. It was a server you could sort of go on, play games, wander around, go to events, and the whole thing was a few hours long to raise money for charity. And unfortunately, as you may have guessed from the name, it was a Christmas event, so it had a very strict deadline, and we realised a bit before this that we'd kind of bitten off more than we could chew. So we ended up blocking off around half the map, anything in the sort of the dead half that was ready. We sort of just picked it up and moved it if we could. We sacrificed the mini games that just weren't close enough to being ready. And the event ended up being cut down to about half the time it was originally planned for. Was it ideal? No. Did most people even realise that there was half of the event missing? Also no. So I'm happy with what we put out in the end for that point in Wraithzeon's history, and I'm very glad we made that change, no matter how hard it was to accept at the time. So sometimes you just have to make hard calls about what you need, what you can do, and then work off that.
Yeah, I definitely, for me, even when, you know, doing these fundraisers, it's obviously important to have perspective, because, you know, it's money for a good cause. But I think it can be difficult because it sort of weighs on you quite heavily. But But that's when I, lean on my friends who all cheered for me. And, other people, sort of linking back to the other question, you do end up getting people that come back to you and sort of, they reach out to you, which is very humbling because you're reaching out to so many other people. And especially in my experience, everyone has been affected by cancer in some sort of way or form. And it's, pretty incredible is a word, to hear all these stories and to sort of connect to them in a way and to understand, what you're doing is of purpose and, it really pushes forward. But it can still be difficult, it can still weigh on you quite heavily running so much and doing so, doing so much work. But I think you just got to, as I said, lean on the people around you, have them push you, and with that you can really make something cool.
I think there's obviously like a lot of ups and downs when working on a project, especially like a long-term one. Like we've done like a year-long project. We've done 6 months, however long, and staying motivated for that long period of time is disgusting. For somebody like me who likes looking at TikTok constantly. I think my way of staying motivated is really falling in love with the process and making sure the process that you are crafting, from like the research to the story you're going to tell and everything, it's something that feels true to the way you want to do it. I think a lot of people get caught up with like how it'll perform or whatever, and they might change how they work on the process, and that'll in turn make them demotivated because it's not how they want to do it. And of course, trying to get it out there is lovely and very important and a part of making this work, I guess. But if the process isn't what you're enjoying, then you are not going to stay motivated. So for me, making sure the process is very enjoyable makes me stay motivated and not give up. So yeah.
I feel like this point's been pretty relevant for me as of recent, because every event decided to go on break at the start of this year, and all the eyes were on Block Wars, and I faced so much criticism I couldn't handle it. But I'm still here, so it's fine. Anyways, how to stay motivated and not give up? It's genuinely quite a difficult question. The thing I usually really look at that I always really highly value is when you make something cool and then you get people to play your cool thing and they're like, "This is cool," and I'm like, "Yes, thank you." So that helps a lot. And it's very often mentioned, and I mention it very frequently as well, is a lot of the negativity tends to get a lot of attention because it's a conversation topic, but that shouldn't let you be distracted from most likely the overwhelming positivity that also comes along with what you're putting your effort and time into. And I think it's very important to always remind yourself of, regardless of what people have to say about what you do or who you are or whatnot, to always look at the highlights, because usually those are the most truthful parts of what people have to say about you. Whereas the negativity sometimes is fueled by something much deeper, maybe a little bit too spiritual, but close enough. Not giving up. I mean, again, I've mentioned it before in one of the earlier slides. If you're truly passionate about what you do, you're not going to think about giving up. You're passionate about your project. You want to keep doing it. You want to keep growing. You want to keep hosting it with your friends, creators, and whatnot. And I just think, to conclude my point, look at the positives, and your motivation and not wanting to give up will remain.
As we've gone through this, I've started to realize more and more that this isn't like the craziest of like positivity panels. Like we're talking a bit about the bad sides, but and that carries on with the downsides and overcoming it. We have a positive point after this, and then we'll go on to the Q&A. So if you guys want to ask happy questions, feel free to. But I before you go on here, Wolfeei, it's your turn. Sorry. I kind of wanted this panel to be more like talking about the realism. I think a lot of the time when people like do content creation, and even from a viewer perspective, you always see the happy stuff, and that's completely fine because obviously content creators don't want to show the bad sides. But when you actually go into and you see, oh, this is going great, like Block Wars amazing, look at all the cool players, Power Creation is amazing, the stuff that you do is so cool as well. You see it from an outside perspective, you're like, oh, that's easy. And then you go in and you start it, and you're like, you know, oh, it's not that good. So what are the downsides and how do you overcome them? It kind of links back, but...
I mean, I kind of already mentioned it, but I can repeat it. Yeah, I think more so overcoming downsides is, I mean, it's just, again, how I usually do it is I either ignore it or I think, how big of a downside is this? Nah, it's fine. So, I mean, I'm just ignorant, if I'm being fully honest. Just
sometimes a good trait, though, right?
It is a good trait. Yeah, I literally just talked about this on the last slide.
It's fine, you don't have to answer it, it kind of links back. Does anyone have an answer for this?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely multiple downsides and stuff, at least when it comes to creating an SMP. There's obviously an activity, which if you've ever made one, the 2-week Minecraft phase is a real thing, and it's deadly. There's an activity, I think something just as a creative in general, I don't think people get the project the same way you do. There's always like the way you see it and how everybody else sees it. So getting everybody to kind of understand it and be on board with something, sometimes that just doesn't happen. Sometimes people have different visions and everything. And I guess how you overcome that is kind of like, in my sense, because I'm doing a lot of storytelling, playing like a dungeon master from D&D, where you are pulling a lot of compromise, and you are pulling a lot of like you're weaving a narrative, and the more you're able to weave, the easier those downsides are able to be overcome, because not everything will be, I guess, like your 100% vision by the end of it. It'll be kind of like an amalgamation of everyone's thoughts and ideas.
For me, as I said, it's very heavy, the stuff that I'm sort of doing, because, well, my cousin has an incurable cancer. Someone else close to me recently got diagnosed with an incurable cancer. They're both treatable, thankfully, but yeah, and a lot of other people have come to me and talked about, you know, their cancer being diagnosed, and you know, that can be quite difficult to deal with, and you'd think it would make you want to push on more, but I think it really, you just sort of go, well, you know, what's the point? But in terms of overcoming it, every time I push to do an event, every time I talk to someone, we scheme together, every pound raised, or dollar or euros, towards the Teenage Cancer Trust or any charity that we might work with in the future really just sits with me, and I use that as motivation a lot, because, you know, that money's being raised to help people, you know, far worse off than myself, and I want to go back to Wolfeei as one, because I have a player manager experience, and I know Wolfeei does way more for Block Wars than I do for any event. But you definitely get a lot of people, you know, that will jump on you, that will think, you know, this team's underbalanced or this team's really good when running an event. And, you know, a lot goes to the managers of events as well. And they get a lot of pain for basically just small things when events really are far bigger than that, and they're mainly just for fun. Yeah, you just got to sort of understand that it's minor, and I think that still sits with Heart of a Hero as well, because I do a lot of player management and ideas for that, and you just got to go, well, it's not really anything. They're just saying stuff because they were annoyed or you know, something happened that they didn't like. In reality, it doesn't matter, and loads of people are enjoying the event, as Wolfeei said. You've got to look at the positives rather than the negatives, and that is pretty much the best way to overcome anything. Also, again, as I said before, have your friends back you. They'll always back you. They'll always, you know, push you up and that's the main thing to do. I hope I do that for Orbitzz and Wraith as well. If you have the people that back you, then you're going to always want to push for them, especially if you care about them closely.
Yeah, so the main downside that I face personally is the pressure to continuously be putting out content. So as a content creator in a more traditional sense, there's always advice that consistency is really important. With being an organisation, often the products that you're putting out are a lot larger and more time-consuming to make. So there's often like big breaks between releasing different things. So to be a bit vulnerable here, we have not made much progress on a Wraithzeon original Minecraft event this year. Progress keeps getting reset for a number of reasons, but we've also learnt a lot from that and had major wins in other areas because, this is the overcoming it bit, we have what I call retainer projects. So I know that every week I can put out the What's on Sphere News. I know that the Quiz Live will run every month, and yes, I do have to put effort into those, they don't just happen, but knowing I have that regular content going out that I don't need to use too much brain power for really takes the pressure off other areas. So even if I have to start again on an next Wraithzeon original event or sink a lot of time into Clicks Games before the next season starts, I know that my organisation is safe in the meantime, and I can focus on the creative process and not stress about the numbers all the time.
My answer is going to come from more like a general perspective, kind of like all you've had, except for like as opposed to just podcast, but it kind of links into it as well. Is I think kind of linking back to what you said is with like the grudges or like not putting someone in an event or having to remove someone from an event. I think grudges don't last as long as people think they do. Like like if I get benched from an event, I might be annoyed I didn't get to play it, but I'm not gonna not sign up the next event. Like it sucks, but it's gonna happen, right? And like I understand like with the frustration and stuff, and kind of the downsides and overcoming them part as well. Here is that like if someone does have feedback or like or they didn't take something too well, it's a good learning curve. Like if you deal with someone who wasn't happy, like and if it was rightfully so, that's fine. You kind of learn how to deal with the next person who then isn't happy. Or like even with like the podcast, I now only do them twice, like once every 2 weeks. I have to be very picky about who I bring on. It's tough, and I really enjoy doing twice a week. But like it kind of becomes a point where like you're sitting there, like you're looking at this big list of names who are showing interest, you're like thing, and sometimes you kind of just got to put it to a side. I think like what you said, Apo, earlier a little bit about the watching TikTok stuff. Unironically, I feel like it helps kind of taking a break away from things and like just forgetting, like just have a day every now and then where you just forget the scene exists. Like if you have people who are messaging you and you constantly talk to them, just give them a heads up that you're not really going to be active that day. Just take a break away from it, have a little breather, and then when you come back the next day, you may still feel not the best, but you'll feel better because you've had this like little kind of. I guess that's my advice. Is just sometimes I just kind of sit away and hide away. Like I took a break over Christmas and I was gone for like 2 weeks, where I think I only messaged like 2-3 people, and it's not that I disappeared on purpose. I kind of just wanted to break away from the podcast, and now I've come back. I feel like we're on a panel, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, just take breaks.
I think, as you say, taking breaks is really important, just in general in life, but also in, when running an organisation, it does give you time to sort of develop new ideas, sort of push yourself, and whether that's being with friends or watching TikTok. Sorry for focusing on that.
It's a good example.
Just anything, allows you to overcome it. It allows you to think of it in a new angle and sort of push on from there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what sort of you said anyway. So
to an extent, yeah. I mean, I have one thing to add. If I have an event and it's too much, I just go outside. It's really that simple. I actually do it. Yeah, I go outside on a night walk. It's so refreshing.
Like a mindless walk, just go.
Well, I'm usually in Discord talking to people. But,
yeah. I just listen to music and I walk for like 3 hours and it's great.
Well, yeah, the music I play is not very relaxing though. So
it sounds silly, but it does sort of just
Like a
refresh
mental
your brain.
reset.
Yeah, it's a mental reset.
It's so good.
I think like yeah, it's just kind of good to forget what you're doing. Like when you're doing it, you want to be passionate, you want to be happy, and that's kind of what this whole panel is about. Is like managing it. The main thing to take away from this is be passionate about what you're doing. And if you ever feel like you're not being passionate about that anymore, or you feel like it's starting to slip, go for a walk, literally. And that 1 day, that 2 day break, and you'll remember why you missed doing it because you haven't done it for 2 days, or you haven't done it for a week, and you'll be like, crap, I miss working this event. I'm sure when Block Wars goes on break or when Power goes on break, you guys really miss it and like you're eager for the return, right?
Oh yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You're still in the like dying phase, like internal dying.
I don't think we're dying, but
No, internal dying.
No.
Like when you just end,
I'm
you're like
here, so
"Ugh."
I mean, a little
You
bit.
know,
It's
you know,
gonna be a
you know,
couple.
It's
you
on the
I
first
told you,
breath
it's-
of the reset.
We hosted like 15 events this
Yeah,
year.
that's a lot.
It's
So you
yeah.
wither away inside a little bit, and then you bloom.
We'll see.
We have a positive thing now.
Thank you.
Why you should give it a shot. I feel like we've covered this
One
kind of
shot?
throughout the entire thing, but it'd be good to kind of touch on it regardless. It's fun. I feel like you guys are going to give better answers. So I feel like I want to take the basic one. It's just fun to do. It's fun to do a podcast. It's fun to run an event. Like it has negatives. Everything has negatives. But regardless, it's like it's what comes from it. You know, like you've got this cool player who you've watched growing up, and they're now playing in your event, or they're taking part in your SMP, or they've come on your podcast. Like it's what you're working towards. Like with me, I don't have a goal. I don't have an end goal for what I want InsideMC to be. I have aspirations, but I don't want that to be the end of it. But I've reached some points where I've got some people on, and this panel is a good example where I'm like, damn, like I've done something. But yeah, just keep going. If you have a goal, go for it. If you don't, just do it for fun, and eventually the positives will come out of it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't succeed, you'll have learnt a lot, and you can go away in the knowledge that you gave it your best, and then you can try a new project. There is so much creative stuff you can do within Minecraft. So if one thing doesn't work, there's lots of other options. And if you do succeed, I mean, Wraithzeon's my favourite project I've ever done. I've made some of my best friends through it. I've worked on projects I'm really proud of. It even gave me the experience to get on the career ladder in indie games, so even my parents can't tell me that Wraithzeon and Minecraft haven't been useful. So yeah.
For money. No, you know, it's been a really humbling experience. It's been such an amazing experience to sort of do this, and you know, seeing all the money raised has been amazing. But just mentally, it's making a difference in the world, and you know, when the world has been pretty rubbish recently for everyone, it's, you know, that making a difference really does help. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on now.
Yeah, I mean, so like the reason why Owen and I created POW in the first place, half the reason was we saw everybody else in this space do their own thing, and we sat there like, oh come on, we could have done it so much better. It's like when you're watching like a TV show and the season finale is just awful. It's just disgusting, and you sit there like, I could have written it better. That's kind of like half the reason why we did it, because like you participate in stuff, and sometimes you're just like, well, it would be cool to do it myself and everything, and really at the end of the day, everyone has their own creative vision. I have my own creative vision. You have your own creative vision. That's why Disney exists and DreamWorks exists, Pixar exists. That's why everybody compares them. That's why everybody has different vibes.
Twitch exists.
Twitch exists. The other stuff exists. And I just really want to see what your vibe is, what your creative mind produces, because it's going to be completely different to everybody else, and I want to see that in the world. It's why there's multiple pizza shops and you hate all of them except one, and that's why you're glad they gave it a shot, because otherwise you'd never eat pizza ever again. So yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, retweet.
Okay, now the actual answer. Well, I'm a prime example of this. Blockwars existed before I was involved, at least as a staff member. Blockwars started as like a little friend group plus CPK, and then the previous player manager or organizer or whatnot stepped down, and they're like, we need a new guy. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do this. And look where we are now. It worked out pretty well. So proof is right here. Why you should give it a shot? You could be here in like 5 years. So it's worth it. It's worth it. I promise.
So we're a little bit ahead of schedule, which is nice. I only planned 10 minutes for the Q&A, but the big clock in front of us, we have 19, so that's nice. We can do Q&A, right? I hope, yeah? I was told I could. I don't really know how it's going to work, but I guess just so we have time before we get rushed out, are we allowed to just take a big picture before the Q&A? Yeah? Okay. Just to get done. If you're faceless, then like I guess either just look away or cover half your face. I don't. Sorry.
Turn around.
Yeah, just anything. I don't really want to go for everyone and have to cover each specific person.
Tornado shelter pose.
I guess we'll just stand up quickly and do a selfie, right? I guess. Feel free to. Yeah. I mean, we've still got more time on the panel, so don't leave, please.
I kind of have to.
I could be the front.
I'm not sure.
The two people at the back, like there's a one.
How the hell are you guys doing this?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Jack.
You're seen behind me now.
Hello, everybody.
I love doing that.
Shit. How the fuck are we?
3, 2, 1.
I'm not doing it.
There we go.
Oh, I blinked! Let's do it again!
Alright, yes, we have Q&As. How do we do this? I've never done this before.
Last year they had like a line with a microphone.
Yeah.
Do you have that? We have a microphone. We don't have a line yet.
Orderly fashion in line. Yeah, wait, folks. You start.
Yeah, Weedbox starts
we
the
nominate
line.
Weedbox.
Hello, Waybox.
Hello. Right. Very.
Come up front.
You scared?
I need to see your face
stand
better.
up,
I'm blind.
Don't be shy.
Oh, your shiny head.
There we go.
So, 2 very quick questions. One, will you admit that I'm an S tier?
Yes.
Thank you. 2, how do you deal with the kind of more toxic community side of things sometimes in event space, S&P spaces? How do you guys manage and deal with that side of thing?
Womp womp.
I'm giving you a hard one, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Okay, there's always going to be someone really annoyed at you.
Yeah.
There just will be.
They complain about like VTubers. I'm like, bro.
I think something I've come to realise is like, who cares? Like, if they genuinely hate you that much, then that's on them. Otherwise, people just don't actually care that much about something. So yeah, it's definitely on them, and the earlier you realise it's on them, the better.
I do have a question.
I mean, your blacklist, an event organizer's blacklist is your best friend. So if people have been toxic, then you simply don't get them involved in future projects.
An answer that I gave earlier is just people don't actually hold grudges. Like, it might feel like they do and they could hold it.
I have a blacklist.
I
I hold grudges.
I mean, it's different. As in, like, dealing with the toxic community, or like, you know, I guess like you're more looking at it as in like toxic, as in straight up like really thing. I'm just looking at it as in like someone has talked to you badly because you benched them. Like that's my answer here. Is like, you know, just don't. Like they might hold on to it for a while. You might feel like they have a grudge, but relatively speaking, I've learned that kind of this year when I talk to more people is people don't really hate people. They just are annoyed in the moment.
They want to be understood, they don't know how to express it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all love in the end.
Unless you get like, I don't know, like there's actually something really bad, then I don't think it's actually love, but yeah.
Then go to the police.
Then go to the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last time I joined an Ant Frost stream and he said, "Hi Wolfie, I love you. F you for benching me." I'm like, damn, bro.
Hopefully Anfos doesn't actually hate you though.
I hope not. No proof, but.
Right, more questions. I guess there's someone at the back there. They had their hand up.
Hello. So, my name is Viking. I've run a couple SMPs and things like that. And I have this question I always like to ask everybody. How do you go about picking people? So like that 2-week phase you talked about, it's real. I've seen it myself firsthand. How do you find people who you know, or at least have a good feel, are going to fit the vibe you're going for? So for a podcast, you're looking for a guest. For an event, you're looking for a good player. For an S&P, someone who's not going to quit after 2 weeks.
I guess we'll just go down this way and just give a quick answer.
Oh, so I have to start.
Do you want me to start? I can start. Do you want me to start?
No, I can. And this one is so complicated because, like, for Block Wars, for example, it's such an established roster. I just kind of see somebody, I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then we reach out, and then they either don't reply or they play. So it's kind of vibes. Genuinely, just being transparent, my advice is going to be so bad here because it's literally just vibes. If I see a creator, I'm like, they're cool, I think. Like, I'm personally like, yeah, that'd be fun. Or I'm like, this player and this player, gold. Then I invite them. But otherwise, it's like, sometimes it's just random, and sometimes a substitute, somebody sneaks their way into the event. It's there's many ways it can happen.
I'm so picky, not gonna lie. But I would agree with Wolfie. I think a lot of it is vibes based in a sense. I mean, when picking out someone, obviously there are our friends and the people that we associate with and everything that might potentially get an invite depending if the project is right. That's also something that's very important. If the person fits for the project, like for example, like a Block Wars Sweat one, or like a Block Wars.
Not Sweat one.
Not Sweat one. The other one, yeah. Rookies, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're really sweaty, you're not going to be invited to Rookies. It's just how it is. And the same thing goes with Palace and P stuff. Like, if you got the vibe, if you're a cringe roleplay storyteller, I guess, you'll probably be more on our radar compared to like if you're Block.
Me, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's a good example.
If we do like an event though, that'd be chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that was really good. And in terms of like creators, we have like a big list of literally every single person who's asked, like, can I be in one of your projects? And once they ask once, they're on the list, and they never have to ask again because we always look at that, and it's just a list of like however many creators. So yeah, that's always fun to look at.
With player management, I'm going to focus on that. I think people think that there's some sort of like secret club or something where people are only invited. It's literally the two things I look for is if you make good content and if you're nice, and that's it. And if people back you up on being nice, you're going to get in events. And especially for Heart of a Hero, I definitely look for just people that are nice and that I know will raise good money for charity. And that could be of any size, to be honest. As long as you make good content, then you're golden, really.
Yeah, basically just the same as what everyone else has said, but to reinforce Apo's point, the players have to be the right fit for the project. So for example, I choose players for the quiz dive, which is, there are 3 people who get onto each game show. So it's a really small cast. So the way I do that is I find 3 people who will gel well together. So it's not always the best applications that get in. It's the 3 people I think will be able to talk to each other, have some charisma, be able to bounce off the presenter. But that's completely different to how I would find players for, say, a survival event or a mini-game tournament or something like that. So yeah, you've just got to think about what the needs of the specific event are.
You want to say something, Apo?
Oh, actually, yeah. I want to reinforce that point. Because, like, imagine you're going to, like, make a party or whatever, and the vibes are so right. And you just invite one person that you love. You love so much, but it's just, like, a completely different vibe. And then they come in, and they're not vibing, and you're not vibing, and nobody's vibing. So, like, why would you want to do that? And it's even more so in, like, an S&P sense, because you're going to be sitting there for 6 months working with this person, and then nobody's going to be happy. So everybody should be happy.
I want to from a podcast perspective for this is I just want people with a story to tell. I've gotten people from all over, and like I've gotten people like duplicate guests, as in like they kind of are in the same niche. Just because someone hasn't come on the podcast doesn't mean they're not gonna come on. It's more so like people have reached out, and I'm like you. I have a long list of once you ask me once you're on the list, like of people who want to come on. But at the same time, I like to wait. Like I think I've had some scenarios where someone has reached out to me and then I bring them on like a year and a half later. Not because like they're suddenly this clouded person, but because they have a story to tell. I don't want to like, I can do duplicate guests, I've done it before, but I'd rather just bring on someone and maybe bring them on in like 3 or 4 years time. But if I bring you on in January and then in March you have a major blow up, you have a lot more to talk about in March than you do in January. And I think that's why like, I like to wait because at least at that point I know you're interested and I want to bring you on. It's just, I'm waiting for the correct time to talk to you about it, an interview essentially. I guess we have time like 1 or 2 more.
And I happen to have the microphone. Hi.
Hello.
You guys, I think some of you know me already. My name is Nomad. Pleasure to meet you guys. You guys.
Oh my god, it's Nomad.
Oh my god. My question for you guys, because I know this is a big thing as well for a lot of people who are in the sphere, is kind of the managing between your passion and like your work. Because I know a lot of people are either still like in school, have a job, have family like kind of obligations they have to do. So how do you kind of balance between the thing that you want to produce, the thing that you want to manage, and those other obligations?
Can I start this? Or do you want to? Yeah. So for a while there before TwitchCon, I was working a full-time job from 6:30 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and then I still had like podcasts to do and editing kind of stuff. My one's a really bad one. If you can live without sleep, then do it. I think I got like 4 hours sleep a night for like 7 weeks, and I felt completely fine. That's why I wanted to start, because my advice isn't very that good. But if you can live without sleep, then that's it. Just time manage really well and like sacrifice what you don't need. And for me, that was sleep, sadly.
I mean, for me, as I said in the panel, I'm a Wraithzeon addict. I take breaks when I have to, when I physically cannot work anymore because I have burnouts. So yeah.
I work as a marketing manager for quite a big business, so yeah, it's quite difficult. But the main thing for me is just that I have my friends backing me, that I have I have people working on stuff as well, and as Rafe said, take breaks. I see my family as much as I can. I talk to my friends as much as I can, and that's really the hack to it.
I don't manage. I don't do that. Okay, no, but like on a real note, I think having like a solid support system is really good. Because like, if you leave to like, if you need a day or two to like really focus on something like a final, or maybe your job's picking up or something, and everything falls underneath you, it's really rough. So having people, at least in my space, like Owen, because we are a duo working on all this, or the POW Creations testers, hi. Being able to, I don't know, like handle a build when I can't or something, or help with the testing. Having those solid people that can help support you is really, really crucial to be able to properly do this.
I'm unemployed, so that helps a lot.
Heck, yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a streamer really is, technically. See, the way I've managed to kind of twist it is working on blockers and doing different roles within blockers, for me, has just become work experience. There are genuine academic titles, essentially, that you could just write down in your resume that are, like, real. I can be like, I've managed a team. I've done something else. Like, there's plenty of things you can take from doing this that are actually of value even for a future opportunity. And yeah, outside of that, I mean, I already said it. Go outside helps a lot. It's good to get your mind off of things. And yeah, I vouch for that.
I think we have time for one more question, right? Yeah? I'll just let you pick.
Hi, I'm Emily, Cupcake Gaming.
Hello.
I had a question about how you handle getting feedback from other people. Like, how would you go about getting differentiating between good and bad feedback?
Well, you make. Can I start? Sorry, I'm already. Well, you make forums, and you make it very clear what sections are what you should improve on, and what you did well on. Forums are very, very crucial, and lovely for making your event or your SMP or your podcast or whatever, or your charity event or anything better. Forums are incredible, and being mindful and open to expanding upon your original vision.
Big ups to BitSquid for teaching me that feedback's just the best thing you can do. You know, you can get better via it, and you can sometimes take a mental thing of it, but as I said before, no one's actually going to have proper beef with you unless they have proper beef with you. But people are just wanting to make, an event or your organisation better.
Yeah, you have to just don't take it too personally. At the end of the day, if somebody's giving you feedback, it's because they care about your organisation, your event, whatever you're doing. So even negative stuff is really useful to know.
I'll go. Okay. It's very dependent on the specific kind of feedback you get. Personally, what I look at is, or at least what happens for us very commonly, is if somebody gives feedback in like the feedback channel, there will be players that will be like, I agree, and then we'll like, yeah, that sounds good. Or someone will give their personal feedback, and then you just gotta look into it. Like somebody will be like, oh, I experienced this, and you look at their bot, and it's like, oh yeah, they didn't lie. So you just kind of have to, kind of value things how you feel fits best, and then work off of that.
Do you want to say something?
Actually,
I'll let you go first.
I have one more thing. I think there's two different types of feedback as well. There's like instant feedback, like right after an event or something that happens, and there's feedback that comes a little later after the person has had time to process everything. So especially, for example, with like negative feedback, or just I guess feedback in general, like there's a perception of events and SMPs right after they end or right after the session ends. You guys have probably seen it in Blockwars feedback channel or whatever other feedback channel. Maybe somebody didn't like something, and then they write but then like an hour or two later, they're like, oh well, actually, like maybe I want to change my take on this. So I think when dealing with feedback, you have to realize that some people might be in an emotional high right when something ends, whether that's a positive high or a negative high. So take that instant feedback and give yourself some time to process it, because it might not be like the end result, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad you went first, because I agree. It's like, don't ignore it completely, like pick back up on it, but feedback made during events, for the most part, ignore, and then like go back afterwards, like after like a day or so, and be like, did you really mean that? Did you really hate that music, or did you really hate that mechanic or whatever? Like a lot of people will make feedback like fresh after event, and like they'll go into so much, and at a point you kind of learn if it's like malicious, or like to kind of, I'm annoyed this just happened, or this is genuine, like I've actually taken about 3 or 4 hours writing this up because I want to give you this good feedback. So it's kind of just like ignoring not ignoring it per se, but just if you're close enough with the person and they're in your event, just go back to them after like a day or so and be like, that feedback that you left yesterday, is that your full feelings, or do you want to alter it a slight bit, and then you can learn from there. So
I can speak on this. I'm going to name drop someone. Feinberg. Look, maybe some of you have seen it, maybe not, during the day of the game, and he said bing, 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 and then I DM'd him the day after. I was like, how do you feel about this? And then he was like, actually, you know what, the game's not that bad. Well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. You gotta ask sometimes. You gotta get the elaboration, because bing, bing, bing doesn't help me at all. I can ask for more info. It does help quite a bit more.
Yo, I'm Firebird.
Yeah, I think that's it though. I think we started out of time. Thank you so much for all of you joining me, and thank you everyone here.